Yeah, I like how it was like the celebrity said, "Imagine all the people," and Lady Gaga said, "Imagine $35 million."
I'm in a bad romance with capitalism. Hello and welcome to the YASEcast. This is our third official episode here in the year of our Lord 2020, the year of Luigi Mario. It is April 7th. I'm Morgan, noticeably not Lamo, who got hit by the alley-oop from work and is currently caught playing NBA Jam. And I am joined by Jarv,
Hey,
Velius,
What up?
and Snooze.
Hello.
And we had a fun conversation about the World Health Organization and a stirring conversation about today, which happens to be International Beaver Day. And beyond that, we're gonna sit here and talk about things we've been watching, playing, consuming, cooking, and all of the above. So, who wants to get things started? Do we have any volunteers, or do I have to pick names?
You have to pick names, Doctor.
Oh, well, wow. Yeah, sometimes, it just kind of slips out there. Anyway, Jarv, what have you been up to? It's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
yeah. So besides like working from home and doing the whole, not leaving my house thing, I thought that would leave me like more time to like consume content. But lately, like I don't want to just be sitting there watching YouTube or anything. I listen to like ASMR during the day, during work and stuff like that. But I haven't sat down and like binge Netflix or anything. But before going to bed each night, I've been playing one level of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Because that's a good game, and it's on the Switch if you have the Nintendo Online. And man, how could I say no to Yoshi's Island? So I've just been like showing it to my wife, showing her like the flutter jumps and the eggs and all that kind of stuff. I never had that game as a kid, but I rented it I think like 3 times in a row, and just happened to have my save file each time. So that was pretty sick. I ended up beating it that way, and now I get to play it from the comfort of my bed.
That's actually sick. I definitely feel that, though. Where whenever we sit down and record this, and it's like, what you been recording, or what you been like doing or consuming, and the answer is usually not a lot. Like there's like maybe one or two things, but I had this conversation with my partner over the weekend that like even though both of us are in a weird position with work where there isn't a lot for us to do, being at home and doing nothing is not actually doing nothing. And if I'm sitting around and like watching something or playing something, like I feel guilty about it. But it's important still, even in these times, to get breaks like that and like play a couple levels of something every now and then. And
you gotta let your mind like reset. You gotta let a little bit of steam off and just chill for a minute, because you're not leaving the house anytime soon, probably. If you are, it's going to be like masked up or like scarfed up or something. It's going to kind of suck.
Mask on.
So yeah, fuck it, mask on. For sure.
No, John, no. That's how Arnold died on Pluto.
Honestly, please don't leave your house. We endorse good hygiene and taking care of yourself.
Please do.
Yeah, I walk my dog. I maybe go to the grocery store like once a week, and then I don't leave my house outside of it. And yeah, it's rough out here.
Yeah. So another thing that I'm going to sign up for soon, but don't have available to me right now. They closed the ordering pretty early. My local area in the Tallahassee, Florida area has the Red Hills Online Market. They have like a bunch of like local farms that all get together and participate in this online farmers market, where you go online and you search for, I need some kale, I need some mushrooms, I need just like a whole box of like random vegetables that somebody will provide to me every week. I can get baked goods, I can get meats and cheeses, and all of it local eggs, milk, dairy products. And right now, because of COVID and everything, they're just only doing delivery. So, you can only deliver it directly to my house. Incredible. So, starting, I think, next week, once they open back up, I'm going to be getting fresh local ingredients to make some really delicious foods for it. So, y'all going to want to see it on Twitter.
It also sounds like we got a sponsorship opportunity here.
Oh my god,
anyone
I
is
wish.
Listening.
It sounds like we're all
Yeah.
gonna, if we could travel, I'd go visit. We all be visiting Jarv. I was told you have
Stay at my
fresh.
house and just get that fresh ingredients.
But that's one thing. Like, it's weird how like the little things pop up that you miss. Like, I really miss farmers markets, even though I didn't go to them often. I like that they were there, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And like every now and then, I would like go into DC and I'd go through like the DuPont Circle Farmers Market and get the like I got like a whitefish empanada at one point because like of course DuPont has that, and it was kind of nice walking around. It was still kind of chilly, and it's like an atmosphere and like a thing that I think once things open up more, I'm probably gonna be taking more advantage of and appreciating more that it's there.
Yeah. How about that? The fact that we can't go anywhere, we're kind of like socially isolated, socially distant. It's really making me appreciate the things that like are in my area that I told myself I'd do another time or go to another time. But now I'm like, when is that other time? When is the next time that I can put it off to? I want to go to it the next time for real.
Yeah, totally. I remember doing that with like parks and everything that I can go to, and like people are generally chill and keeping that 6 foot distance, but ugh, it's
It just feels weird to like have to stay out of people's way, and like I'm sort of a person that's gonna think like, oh, is this person gonna think I'm weird because I'm like walking on the grass to like stay out of their way on the path, or are they gonna realize that this is all about social distancing, or do they even give a shit? More than likely, because they're the protagonist of their own life, they don't give a shit about me.
so nightmare story turns into a funny story here. So I'm taking my dog for a walk around the building. Hey, for those of you that follow me on Twitter at fog_e, like, follow, and subscribe. You know I have a dog, and I have a greyhound, and my greyhound likes to run. So she's running, it's a sunny day, and I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna jog with my dog around the building. It's gonna help me reset my mental. It's gonna be awesome. And I feel a little rustle in my pocket, and my apartment key falls out. And I don't have my phone with me. So I'm sitting here with this impatient dog. I don't know where my key is. Because even worse, not only did I feel it rustle, I felt something hit my shoe. So I'm like, oh god, key fell out. I must have kicked it while I was jogging. It could be anywhere around here. And I don't have a spare because I lent my girlfriend the spare key when she was visiting. So I flagged down this other dog owner and I'm like, do you have your phone? Can you call the front office? And they're like, well, nobody's there. And eventually, they get an email that their meeting is canceled. They're helping me look, and they're like, so what does this key look like? And it's like, it's 2 brass keys on a little silver ring. They look down at their foot. Oh, here they are right here.
Oh.
And then and then we have this awkward moment where I'm like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're like, oh, 6 feet apart. How am I supposed? I'm like, oh, you can throw them to me. Like, it's just like it has an extra layer to all of these situations, and I'm ready for it to be over. But thankfully, I have I have cool friends, and many of which are on this podcast, to help bridge that distance, if not physically, emotionally.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So there's one more game that I've been playing when I get some time. I've been playing the new release, One Step from Eden. It's supposed to play a lot like this Mega Man Battle Network game. I've never played that game. I didn't grow up at like that time. I guess I played like the old Mega Man games and like Mega Man X, but I never played it on the GBA. But it's very similar to that, and it's like a roguelike. Like pretty much every game that I buy and play for a couple months has been like a fucking roguelike these days. Just go on a run, get like a tenth of the way through the game, and be like, well, I've experienced the game, and I just put it on the shelf because like I'm too bad at coming back to games after I haven't played them for a long time to like remember the controls and know the combos and know like all the dodge mechanics and shit. So anyways, this one's been pretty fun. It's pretty hard. Like I've never gotten closer than a mile from Eden, but it's very fun. There's lots of really cool spells. The decks get pretty intricate. You can search for different categories of spells that you manipulate the deck and add cards to it, or use different keywords, very much like a card game. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cheap right now too. There's like a PvP mode as well, and co-op that you can play. No online or anything like that, but pretty fun.
How far do you start from Eden?
If you die immediately, you're 1 mile from Eden. I heard online there's other places that you can be like 1 hop from Eden, 1 skip from Eden. That's kind of tight, but I'd like to be at Eden because I want to beat the game. There's a whole bunch of characters, and I'm like, I'm never going to see these characters because I'm never going to beat this game.
What is the I think the only Battle Network game I ever played was the one on the GameCube that did not play like the other Battle Network games. It was more like
I think that was the Battle Network game that was a side scroller.
Yeah,
it was like regular old Mega Man.
That's why the only one I played was the one that's like all the other Mega Man games. It was fun. I enjoyed
legit.
it. But my Twitter's been popping with this game, and I don't know. You're kind of like I hadn't made the connection to Battle Network, but now I'm actually really interested.
Mm-hmm. It's all real time though. There's no like, to my knowledge, Battle Network only lets you do like a couple moves at a time, and then it like lets you wait and like cool down or whatever. This you're moving all the fucking time, and I feel like there's like a input barrier, or like there's like a I need to get past using just like my mushy D-pad. I need to get like my fucking hitbox out or something and play it in order to like dodge some of these damn projectiles. Probably need to play it on my monitor with a hitbox or some sort of like mechanical keyboard instead of my damn Switch Pro controller, and not be like 12 feet away from my TV in bed, like half asleep. That's probably a bad way to be anywhere but 1 mile from Eden, but that's kind of been the case every time. I should probably just pull the whole thing out and just try to just play it in handheld mode and see how far I get there. I feel like the clicky button of the Joy-Con would be pretty good in order to like, you have to get like upright to like dance across the, you're trying to move as fast as possible some of these times. There's only like certain places you can go to. A lot of the bosses are very much movement puzzles and dodging projectiles and not just like shooting your own spells. But the shooting your own spells part is hard enough, and now I gotta dodge all this shit, so that's why I'm never gonna beat this game, but it's really damn fun.
I'd say I believe in you, but that sounds real hard, and like I understand.
It's really cool though. I like every time you get like, offered some spells, you get offered some artifacts that do things with those spells. Like, okay, there's like a frost mechanic. You apply 3 stacks of frost to an enemy, they take 100 damage instantly. And then there are some artifacts, maybe it might present you with mint chocolate chip, that says when you apply frost, they also are slowed for like 3 seconds. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to go into my deck, and I'm definitely going to look for more of the anima like skills, more the anima spells that are frost and fire dependent, and maybe I also like the flow keyword and breaking tiles, so I'm going to use hearth, and you can kind of try to steer your rewards towards specific paths, but you don't have to take a reward every time if you want to keep a small deck, because hey, the smaller the deck, the faster you can get back to your good spells and not just have fodder. But when you reshuffle, it takes a little bit of time to reshuffle too. But you can also manually reshuffle if you kind of get through the spells that you like the most, and you just are like, all right, fuck this, I need to go back. I need to get, this laser again. It'll take some time, but there are also some artifacts that will say, like, every time you reshuffle, everyone takes, like, 20 damage. Okay, it might be a cool way to finish someone off. Or it might shuffle in, like, a kunai in there, so you have another projectile to throw. There's been a lot of cool artifacts, and, it's just like a... Roguelikes always have like cool things to explore and want to like get farther into, so you can see like what kind of cool builds you can make.
It sounds a lot like elements of Slay the Spire in terms of like you can take a reward or not, and like the pros and cons of doing that, and finding synergies between stuff, which is the stuff about that game that I really loved. It's like playing and finding these sort of emergent synergies that maybe you wouldn't have realized if you had sort of like sat and laid everything out in the game. But when you actually like are playing through and your rewards are kind of limited, or you have to choose from a certain pool, you have kind of an emergent strategy that comes out of that. So like, you're actually selling this on like really well to me specifically. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm gonna definitely check it out.
Okay, well, I've wanted to play Slay the Spire for like a long time now, and I've been dying to find it. Hopefully I can get it on sale for Switch at some point and talk about that with y'all. That would be really cool. But from what I know about Slay the Spire versus this game, I would... And I'm probably going to get, like, flamed for saying this, so, like, this is an ignorant take, whatever. Uh-huh. It probably feels like a more, like, action RPG version of Slay the Spire, because they're both kind of, like, card-focused. You're building a deck. You're trying to, like, find this, like, emergent game plan. They're like, okay, this is, like, how I'm going to, like, progress through the game with these rewards to this build, but you have to move around a lot. and instead of just, like, looking through cards, figuring out, like, what you want to play.
That sounds like so much fun. Like, just so much fun.
I really legit want to try out like a stick or something on it and like just click a lot of buttons.
Oh, that sounds even better. I can push buttons too? Oh.
You can push buttons on it. I like playing hitbox games on things that shouldn't be played on hitbox. I was playing Downwell on that thing, and it was fun, but it's weird having up on the bottom button to play Downwell.
Oh, that sounds so good. All right, how much is it on? Is it on Steam? I'm assuming.
It's on Steam and Switch. It's like $15.
Oh, that's price to move right there.
Price to move. Yeah, it is.
As soon as we move into my Steam library, real quick. All right. Who wants to go next, or who's dying to share?
I can go.
All right. What you been up to, Velius?
I think in the time since our last like pilot episode, and then me showing up now, I got a projector for my room.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been using that to watch basically every single DVD and Blu-ray that I have at this point.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Respect.
I christened it in with Pulp Fiction because that's just the classic. And then the most recent thing that I watched, oh God, where even is it? Oh, I watched Parasite for the 10,000th time on my projector. Just because, have to.
Basically. It's a good movie.
Other than that, I've been playing been trying to play a lot more of Grand Blue Versus, and then obviously Animal Crossing, because who isn't? And
I'm actually not.
I think everyone on this call who even isn't.
Like, who isn't playing? Oh, like everyone in Yase.
Mad respect to the crossing of animals. I just have very little time to play a game that is essentially like a chore or like a little like Zen garden. Is really how I should view it, not like a chore. It's a Zen garden.
Zen garden is a good way to put Animal Crossing.
It's just so relaxing, like being able to, because you don't even really have to worry that much about like in a lot of other kind of time management games, like even in Stardew Valley, your eyes are constantly like on the clock trying to make sure that you're optimizing your time and everything.
Efficiency.
Yeah, but in Animal Crossing, everything is being done in real time, and if you really like, I personally don't like time skipping, but you can time skip, if you need to move stuff forward and you're just that impatient. But for me, I just enjoy taking everything a little bit slower and just letting things happen, which is kind of like the central, message of everything in the game anyway. You're constantly being reinforced that, to take your time is something that is, just admirable and you should do naturally. Like everyone is kind of just telling you always, especially specific villagers will always be telling you, like, please don't rush yourself. Take care of yourself, please. We love you a lot, please.
Oh, that's good advice for real life, too.
Why am I crying?
It's just so relaxing from the usual and especially with everything happening right now. It's like, I work at a hospital, so it's just when I come home, I don't want more goddamn stress right now. I want to just talk with a bunch of humanoid animals and have them be like, I love you a lot. Here's a present. And it's like, oh, thanks.
I'm like really on the edge of crying right now. I mean, that's maybe Lamo was onto something at the end of that episode. It's like, this is the vibes we need right now, because I feel like that's the vibes that I need right now, of just like a humanoid animal to be just like, take your time, you're doing great.
Yeah, that's the entire game right there. Like even so I just had a villager move in. His name is Phil, and his entire personality is basically, I'm super fashionable and I'm the prissiest bitch that you're ever gonna meet. And even he will still like lather you with compliments as long as you just say nice things about him every now and again. So it's like all your villagers is the ones that you're trying to like be friends with will always be very nice and courteous and give you such like good positive vibes almost no matter who they are. Like I have another villager, Poncho. I love him, and all that he ever really does is talk about working out. So it's basically like having Jarv in my village, and it feels very nice.
Very nice.
And he just gave me a recipe to make a barbell.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely is Jarv.
I love it.
Actually, love it.
Everything about it is just so positive and nice and such good reinforcement for when I come home after working, 12 hours in a hospital.
Yeah.
So,
That's so good.
yeah.
Y'all are just
I
like
can see
selling
the
me on
appeal now.
everything.
I really do see the appeal, and I gotta say, some of these little cat boys are pretty cute.
Are you talking about the cat boy with the maid dress?
Is that Raymond?
I think so. The one that looks like he's stressed out. It looks like the one who looks like he's in a Talking Heads video.
Is it Raymond, the dude with the glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cat that looks like this is not his beautiful wife, and he doesn't know how he got.
I mean, other than that, I keep coming back to just staring at the Criterion Collection box set for Ingmar Bergman's entire collection. They have, the Criterion Collection released a box set of all of Ingmar Bergman's films. So it's normally like $300, and I just keep staring at it, just like, one day you will be mine.
Is that the guy who
do,
did
like,
Persona?
Yes.
Oh, I have seen that
And this
movie.
this box set is 30 Blu-rays. So it's
Wow.
like, I see why it's $300, but also it's $300. So I just
I had a
stare
really
at it
weird
longingly.
experience with Persona. I forget what was going on, but I don't know, something was going on at home or something. So I left, and I was hanging out at a friend's house, and I was asleep on their couch, and I woke up at 3 in the morning or something, and the TV was still on from whatever we had left off doing, and Persona was just on, and so I just woke up in a strange place and saw Persona at 3 in the morning for the first time.
That would be a fucking trip.
I'm just reading the Wikipedia summary. I'm like, yeah, that would be a trip.
That movie is a wild ride.
Yeah. Ingmar Bergman in general is a wild ride.
Maybe that's going to be our homework for this week. Last week was 9 Inch Nails.
Everyone watch Persona.
I think the Star Wars all 3 trilogies set is like a bunch of fucking discs. You should definitely buy this Criterion Collection instead of that. That sounds like garbage in comparison to a whole Criterion collection full of someone's life's work.
It's 39
life's work
films.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 39 films. And it even comes with scholarly interviews with Bergman, and then a bunch of his frequent collaborators. There's essays in it, a 248-page book detailing the individual works and then his process. There's audio commentaries. There's documentaries as part of it. It's crazy.
That
Yeah,
sounds like
it's a whole lot.
It sounds like a good purchase.
Yeah, especially because I'm looking at it right now, on Amazon, and it's $179 instead of $300.
Are you kidding me? That's almost half off.
Yeah, what a
Steel
steal,
City, bro.
Just do it. Just if you don't buy it, I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna buy
You
Animal
get
Crossing.
the 70 off on the Amazon card or whatever. So that brings it down to what, just $100?
So it's 30-something films for $100. That's a good deal.
It is a whole lot, and it is in fact way better than the all 3 trilogy collection for Star Wars.
Does that
I'll
not
go ahead
include
and
Rogue...
shit on it.
Does that not include Rogue One even?
It probably includes Rogue One and Solo.
Oh. No, you don't get those.
I can't see why it wouldn't.
You get 4 decent movies out of that.
I'm actually going to be looking this up now because I want to see what exactly what comes on all this all the whole collection thing. I don't see the all trilogies collection yet anyway.
I've definitely seen they might have released something whenever The Last Jedi came out. And then they're like, we gave you a spot for the next film. And I'm like, fuck off. just don't sell it yet.
Yeah, like the only box sets that I'm finding are ones that are for like episodes, like the original and then prequel trilogy, and definitely fuck that. Okay, can we just talk about how disappointing Rise of Skywalker was? Like for the 2 seconds that it's
You
worth.
haven't watched it?
No,
I
haven't
also
watched
have
it.
not watched it.
Okay.
Well, all right. It was really bad.
You can
It
go
was
ahead and talk
super
about
bad.
it. I don't like those movies, so like I'm not gonna be spoiled.
I'm in the same boat. I'm just like, I don't care. Just go off.
So like my opinion of the sequel trilogy anyway is that basically Force Awakens was like pretty good because it was basically just a story that you had already seen before except updated, which is all I could have really asked for. And then Last Jedi came out, and I was like, so Rian Johnson is basically, I'm assuming, was held at gunpoint by a bunch of Disney executives and told to make a movie. So he did that because it was very mediocre. Just almost objectively speaking, it was very much not like a Rian Johnson movie. And I love Rian Johnson, as anyone who might know me knows, because I watched Knives Out, and I was like, this is fucking amazing, and I can't stop watching this movie. And then the whole thing that happened with the original director of Rise of Skywalker getting let go in, like, what was it, 2015, 2016, like when Last Jedi was coming out. And my first thought was, oh God, it's going to be bad regardless of what happens. And then J.J. Abrams comes back in, and it's so clear that he was working with like 3 different scripts that had all been like finalized at the same time. So everything feels... It's so fucking piecemeal. Everything feels like it was just nitpicked from 3 different scripts and then just put together from whatever it was that they could scrounge up. Yeah. It was just so bad. Like, everything about it was just... like, it didn't feel like a J.J. Abrams film. Like, I'm not even a huge Abrams fan to begin with. Like, I think he's competent, but he doesn't really seem to do, like, anything too special, you know? And then... Rise of Skywalker comes out, and then everything... It doesn't even feel like something that he even directed at that point.
It was pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm at this point really only into Star Wars for like whatever like card games and like tabletop games they cook up with like the characters, just because I like how they take the movie abilities and turn them into like some mechanic of a game. But even just watching that, it just felt like a gallery of like rando people that they could find to be like, oh, here's this guy, remember him? And here's this guy, remember him? Oh, and it's just like, okay, whatever. Why are we on this planet now? We just got to find a map to find an old man to kill the old man. Like, why is the old man here again? They just can't stop like bringing Palpatine back for whatever reason. First, we had to deal with Robo Palpatine, like the Sentinel messengers from Battlefront 2 or whatever with Iden Versio. Now we got to deal with him like legit coming back as like a weird like ghost and slash I don't even know. He was like attached to some big crane. I did not understand like the whole like arena doing like the wave with like the Sith Lord. It was a lot. Bad movie. Generally not very fun. Ends on literally the worst note of all time when Rey's just like, I'm Rey Skywalker. I'm just like, I'm Rey Star Wars. You should have just ended, I'm Rey Star Wars.
That's the episode title.
Oh God. Yeah, it was just super bad. And like I didn't have high hopes for it in the first place. Like for any of the sequel trilogy, yeah. I was just kind of like, if it is mediocre, I'll be satisfied. And it failed that, which made me sad because like I don't want movies to be bad. I want movies to be good. Yeah. And it still failed me somehow.
I think the worst part about Star Wars, like around The Last Jedi, was like the culture war that came around The Last Jedi between like, if you think it's bad, then somehow you're like a bad right wing like alt-right person somehow. Like the culture war got like so perverse that it was like, oh, you don't like The Last Johnson. The Last Johnson.
No, there's your title.
Yeah, there's your title. If you don't like Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, then you're some sort of like, I don't know, you hate women or something like that because you hate Rose and all.
Yeah.
But then it became like feminism is buying the Last Jedi shit, and I was like, no, this is not what to take away from this.
Yeah, I really like to watch reviews and stuff of like things I don't like, because sometimes that's like competent, like good reviews. You know, I'll watch a 2-hour review on a 2-hour movie if it's like a good review. And I hated The Last Jedi, and so I got done watching it, and I was really excited to go like watch some good reviews for it and watch some bad reviews for it, because that's almost like as fun as watching the actual movie for me. But everything was just like, the SJWs ruined Star Wars versus, like you said, feminism is buying The Last Jedi. And I was just like, what? I just want to watch some movie criticism, man. Like, it was a bad movie, and it's not because there were women in it. Come on.
Yeah, the Star Wars culture war is always something that I really didn't enjoy, because it's like you have shit libs on one side and then the alt-right on the other, and I'm just here being neither.
I'm just trying to eat some popcorn. That's like really what it is. I'm just trying to go to the movies or not go to the movies if you're Snooze. I'm trying to, watch a movie and then see what other people's like opinions are about it, so I can see how. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, how smart they are.
I mean, like, one of my favorite movies of like the past year has definitely been Portrait of a Lady on Fire, outside of Parasite and everything. And it's like, when I compare what happens, like the amount of action, the amount of like anything is almost insubstantial compared to something like Star Wars, like any of the Star Wars movies. And yet it's still so much more resounding, in part because it's like the fate of the universe is not something that I feel particularly invested in as a human being. But seeing a film detail like the certain intricacies and almost like personal tragedies of the development of individual characters portrayed and like directed in a way that is so much more than just competent, it takes so much care and work and effort to detail how these characters, and specifically because there's the only male characters in Portrait of a Lady on Fire are like dudes who speak one line, and then there's no other male characters, which is A+. Like, mwah, thank you. And Celine Sciamma was the director, and she took so much effort and care to make sure that we're able to relate to the characters on screen, and it's just so much more compelling than seeing a movie about the fate of the universe and how, like, Palpatine rises and we all die. And yet I still don't feel as invested as watching the relationship between two women on screen, which I think is just kind of telling as to the state of a lot of blockbuster films. It's like, you can't just up the ante and expect me to care.
That's all Marvel, Disney, Star Wars knows how to do. Up the ante and be like, You care more now.
Yep.
If Endgame could have been like 3 movies, if that last Avengers movie could have been 3 movies, you betcha they would have been like 2021. Here it is, just the 3rd one.
Oh, God. Let's not give Disney any more ideas.
This is why video game stories are bad, too.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and then like to be continued with like all according to Keikaku, and you're just like, no, stop making the sequel.
The one I always bring up is like the Mass Effect series, and why like Andromeda was destined to be bad, because nobody will make these like kind of character studies, like this Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I think you said. I don't know that movie, but it sounds like it's just about like, it's like kind of like an intimate story about a couple of people, right?
Yes.
And you could make video games about that. And Mass Effect has all these really interesting character stories, actually. And like, what if we went back and like, I don't know if anybody's played those here, but there's this dude Garrus. He's like a cop on the spaceship, whatever. But he has this like checkered past. Like you could go like, what if we made this character study noir detective game about Garrus? It would be sick. But instead, all we can ever do is like, well, in Mass Effect 1, you saved the literal galaxy. So in our sequel, like, how are we going to raise the stakes? And like, that's all anybody wants to do for like big blockbuster stuff like that.
It really is true.
because there's just nothing else you can do once you go that far. It's like, how is the next thing going to be smaller?
Yeah, now we have to double save the galaxy.
Yeah, it's either you have to double save the galaxy, or once you can't figure out how to do it, origin story. Boom. And now you can bring the stakes back down to like, you just gotta, it's just two dudes punching each other.
No more prequels.
That's
Bro.
all they're doing. They're putting out that Black Widow movie or whatever. It looks terrible. It's just like,
Is that actually coming out?
I don't know anymore, actually. You know, I'm pretty sure Mulan made like $800 like worldwide or whatever, because everyone's like inside.
Yeah, from what I understand, Disney is planning to delay most of their movies that were supposed to be coming out soon, or releasing them straight to like Disney Plus temporarily, and then having a theatrical release.
Who's going to do that? Who's going to be like, I pay $6 a month for Disney Plus and I watch this new bullshit, and now it's going to be out in my local AMC for like $35 after some popcorn and a drink? I done seen it already. I'm good. We do not need it.
Because, Jarv, why wouldn't you want to see a film where half of the audience is clapping and yelling loudly every 10 minutes through the movie? You can't replicate that experience at home.
I mean, there are.
Velius, we need to watch movies together. If it's a movie if it's a movie I really want to see, like, I want a soundproof booth. I just want to hear no one. I want to be isolated. The rest of the universe doesn't exist.
Well, the only noise you'll be
hearing
hearing
anymore.
Only noise you'll be hearing from me during a movie is maybe the fans in my projector, if there's like a super quiet moment in that movie.
Sounds like a sick projector.
You two absolutely should watch movies together.
That's very true.
I think I've kind of just become like the Yase movie person, since my Blu-ray collection is now like expanding rapidly at a pace that I cannot control.
I mean, it's a good thing to be. All right. Snooze, what have you been up to?
So I've actually been watching all of the things. I have a ton of stuff like on my Netflix and YouTube lists that are like, I want to watch them, but I kind of have this problem where like, oh yeah, like I want to watch 2012. Like I know that movie sucks, but I've never seen it. I just want to watch it once. But I got all this other good stuff that I want to actually pay attention to, so it's hard for me to get around to it. But now I can just throw all this stuff on the background, and like, old disaster movies are not something I have to pay a lot of attention to. So this week I have watched 2012, which that movie is terrible. So it's definitely part of the glut of like circa 2000, like just action movies in general that were like 3 hours long. I don't know if y'all remember the first Transformers movie.
Yes.
But if I recall, I think it's 2 hours and 44 minutes long.
Roughly.
Oh my god, it's way too
And like
much.
nothing happens in that entire movie. Like I really don't get it. So 2012 is similar. It's really closing in on like 3 hours. And the entire movie is like John Cusack gets in a car and drives somewhere, then a house falls down. Then he gets in another car and drives somewhere else, and then the house falls down. Then he gets in a plane and flies somewhere, and the house falls down.
Is 2012 like a Day After Tomorrow situation? Like
Yeah,
one of those like big
honestly,
blockbuster fuck the world kind of movies?
It is exactly that. And honestly, I don't even remember what the disaster was. It was something about microwaves and the Earth's crust is heating up. Like, it was just total nonsense. And there's no plot, really. It's just a series of things happening. Like, bad film. But, so then I watched, I watched Deep Impact, which...
Nice.
I think that movie is, like, it's okay. I thought the on Earth, like the political fallout and the relationships and stuff, were like a lot better than Armageddon, which came out like I think the same month back when they came out, maybe the same weekend even. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
But like the whole everything about the asteroid part is just like super stupid. And it's kind of the same thing as in Armageddon, where it's like they go and they're like, oh well, we're gonna drill into the asteroid, put the nuke in it, blow the asteroid up. And just like given like the masses and energies involved and stuff, like it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in Deep Impact, they go up and like, oh man, we're gonna drill these like 6 nukes, or maybe it's like 4 or 5, something like that. I think it's 5 actually. We're gonna drill these 5 nukes into the asteroid, and they're gonna blow it up. We have to go 100 meters down. like the asteroid. I think in the movie they say the asteroid is the size of New York City, and they're gonna drill 100 meters into it and blow up with the nukes. Which, like, okay, sure. So there's this big, I can't think of the word I want to use, but the thing, like the obstacle that occurs is, of course, they're drilling into the asteroid. One of their drills fails because you can't have a drill in an action movie or an action video game without the drill failing.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
you gotta mash X.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's only like 76 feet down. I'm like, okay, well, we switched from meters to feet already, but like, honestly, this meteor is like 12 miles wide. Like 200 feet doesn't matter. Like, come on. But then it's kind of funny because they blow up the nukes and it splits it and it just breaks this little chunk off. And it's like, well, yeah, you just put the nuke. Like, what did you think was going to happen? So it's kind of really stupid, but then the thing that happens kind of makes sense. But, like, it's just all super nonsense. But overall, pretty okay movie. I mean, bad science in your action movie, whatever, it happens.
It's Hollywood
and then
science.
Oh, and it doesn't feel super long is the thing. It is actually also quite long, but it has like, there's like a plot and like things are happening and there's like an A story and a B story and it switches between them when one's getting boring. So you don't feel like you're just like, oh my God, like, come on, let's move on, do the thing. It doesn't really happen. It's a pretty competent movie, I thought. And then the last one that I watched was The Core. And then that movie actually rules. I really don't get why everybody hated it. I remember when it came out, like, everybody hated it. It got terrible reviews. It's just one of those, like, oh, this is a bad movie, like, don't watch it kind of things. But it's like totally fine. It's a little bit goofy with, like, whatever. They're like, the Earth's core stopped rotating. Okay, fine. But, like, you get past that, like, I mean, yeah, the core stops rotating, like, the magnetosphere fails, and that makes, like, the ion layer thingy fail, and then we get destroyed by not cosmic rays, but solar flares from the sun. And like, I mean, it actually kind of, the actual disaster part of it, like, kind of makes sense if you just like get past the basic premise that the Earth's core had to stop rotating. Like, if you deal with that, like, it's not too bad. But it's an action movie, and everything in the movie is either like leading you toward the action or it's like setting up the next thing. There's no like, there's really not like a lot of dead air. It starts out and like, oh, I think you're like 2 seconds, like you're like 2 seconds into the movie, and you're like, something happens, like, oh, a weird thing happened, and you're like, oh, what's that? And then it cuts to the next scene, and like, hey man, you're a scientist. Let's go talk about some science stuff, and they explain what's going on, and then they just build the crew, they build the ship, and then they start drilling, and things happen when they're drilling. Like, it just moves. It's also quite long, but again, it does not feel like the like 2.5 hours that it is.
Very nice.
Yeah, I remember all these movies kind of vaguely, but I think they've all sort of like blended together in my brain zone into one like super disaster movie because they're all kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why I
Doesn't
never
help
got
that,
to them because I was like,
Dwayne the Rock Johnson has made it like a whole career out of these apocalypse movies.
Now that you say that, I also am assuming in my brain zone recall of this one super movie that The Rock is definitely the star. Even though I don't think he's in any of them, is he?
In those three movies, he is not in any of them.
Yeah, but it feels like he should be.
He was in the Scorpion King.
I think these are all like, I think these are all like pre The Rock getting really popular in movies.
Is
by,
it
like,
pre-Scorpion King?
I'm not sure, but I just
it.
feel like they're a little too old for that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe not 2012. I don't know what year that came out. Did that come out in 2012?
I hope not.
I think it came out in 2011.
Ooh.
I mean, that would make sense.
Because, I mean,
Like,
imagine the
they
last time
robbed
you
you
actually saw John
story.
Cusack in anything.
Ooh.
It has been a minute. Well, I mean, for me, it was like this week, but
Notice like substantially fewer minutes, but still a minute.
yeah. But yeah, like I said, those movies are all like closing in on 3 hours, so like I just got them out of the way without having to like really. I saved my attention for like better things, but I got those movies out of the way.
That's good. Anything else you got?
Sorry, I just straight up talked for like 10 straight minutes, but
No, you're good.
No, it was
That's what
good.
this is for.
I like hearing about the stuff that you watch.
Yeah.
I'll watch, to be honest.
We are here to support each other, to share an interests, and to share things we care about. It's
Or we
cool.
can just shit on Star Wars again.
I mean,
Yeah, that's always good.
that is a thing that we are passionate about. What have I been doing? If Lema was here, and maybe I'll say this, I want to talk about Hunter x Hunter, because my happy-go-lucky shonen anime about a boy trying to find his dad turned into, as of like this morning, as I was watching it for work, I started the Chimera Ant arc, which I've only ever heard people say like it's so great, it's so wonderful, but it pulls like it goes 360 degrees and walks away in terms of tone, because it goes from like happy-go-lucky to hardcore body horror in a way that made me deeply uncomfortable, and like my stomach dropped and I had to stop watching because I felt sick. Which, I mean, speaking to effective writing, but still like, oh my god. Yeah. But on a lighter note, I have finally gotten around to playing Drakengard 3, or Dragoon 3, which I bought on PSN ages ago, but I believe even Yoko Taro has said this game does not run well. It has huge issues.
Oh, yeah.
And like, infamously.
Yeah, I heard that it's like 20 frames per second or sub 20 or something.
Yeah, it's
bad.
It's bad. But I bought it, so my conscience is clear, and I was thinking like, what can I do here? Because I'm kind of like, I need a break from fighting games. So I figured out how to do PS3 emulation, and spent the time getting all the settings together and everything, and have been able to play that on my PC at like a stable, 60 to 30. Like, it's still not the greatest, but it's better. And
Bless emulation, though.
Bless emulation. There's a whole conversation to be had about, and I think this is my first encounter where this game is almost unplayable, and it's native hardware, but you can actually, through emulation, resolve that and drastically improve the experience. And it's a bad good game, even with that, where the actual gameplay elements of it are not the best. The gameplay loop is kind of repetitive. You've got your 4 weapons. You run from area to area. You open chests. You kill some dudes. You get, honestly, really funny dialogue in this almost like aggressively horny game. Like, basically every bit of dialogue is like a double entendre or like some kind of wacky shit. And like when you're picking your disciples, all right, so the whole premise is you're playing Zero. Zero has to kill her sisters. Each of her sisters has a disciple. I've killed up to, I think, the first 3 of them so far. And with each one of them, their disciple follows you, and they all have like a different like kink or something that they talk about. And like one guy is really into masochism, one guy is like really into sadism, and this old dude I just picked up is just really horny. And it's like,
It'd be that way.
It do be like that, and it's really funny. And it's like the humor is just like dripping through it, where you have these like 3 dudes in Zero that are just like having this like elaborate conversation about kink in the middle of a boss fight. Then you have your dragon ally, who is, portrayed as being like the ignorant kid, and it's like, what's a kink? Is that a thing I should know about? I'm like, no.
What the hell?
No.
Dragon is literally baby in that game.
He's literally baby, and he's a good boy, and Zero is a good mom, but literally baby.
Is this the game that's like the indirect direct prequel to Nier?
Yes, it is. Where the joke ending is that you basically cause the disease that kills humanity in Nier. Yeah.
I watched
That's actually,
a Nier lore video after recently finishing Automata, and I got to the end and said, what the fuck?
Basically.
To the lore video.
Drakengard,
that series is a lot.
Drakengard 3 is the prequel to Drakengard, which is the prequel to Nier, because that game has 5 different endings. And
that's right. And then
there's a baby apocalypse ending in that.
Oh god, it's a bad good game. The actual game parts of it are bad. Every other part of it is like extremely my shit. Of just like, it is funny. It is genuinely engaging. if you don't want to suffer through the actual play of it and your love is weak, just watch the cutscenes or something because it's great. There's this whole scene where just recently in like the World of the Forest when you're going to kill number 3 because her sisters are all numbered. Her disciple just in the middle of the level drops down and goes like, "I surrender, I quit, I want to join you." And then the cutscene is like Zero and her dragon and the 2 disciples you have standing there staring at this dude and the dude's staring at you, and it's just like an awkward silence between them until one of your disciples starts laughing. It's like, this is so dumb. Why aren't we talking? Oh, it's good. But yeah, I'm hoping to finish that up sometime soon. I love Nier Automata. I think it's definitely one of my favorite games of the last decade, if not my favorite game of the last decade. So I'll probably go through Drakengard 3 now. I don't think my love is strong enough to go through Drakengard because I hear that game is mega bad. Like
the game is great as a time capsule, but it runs.
That doesn't sound good.
It runs super bad. So like the thing is that like the plot bones in like a classic Yoko Taro way, like the bones of the plot are so fucking amazing. Like your allies in the original Drakengard are like objectively speaking not good people, and your main character is also on a quest that is not like honorable or anything. Like one of your allies in Drakengard 1 is a literal pedophile. The other is a woman who is gone absolutely insane and allows herself to become basically possessed by murderous demons who give her the ability to get revenge. And another one of your allies is permanently a child. And it's not like honorable in any way, shape, or form. But there's a lot of very weird like intimacy in the plot. So in a way, like if it ever gets like remastered, I would definitely be all aboard that hype train. But the much more like depressing themes in Drakengard 1 I don't think are particularly great. Like Nier is the antithesis of despite everything bad happening, there's still a lot of hope for the future kind of theme to it. Like and that's in Nier Automata as well, you get a lot of that same exact kind of vibe from its plot, like how to like the intricacies of being human, of dealing with raw emotion and having a partner in the age of the apocalypse. It ends on a note that is very uplifting, whereas the Drakengard series does the opposite.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna enjoy my weird horny game for a while, and hopefully it won't be too sad. I feel like I'm gonna go do some consume some media for escapism, and it's like Drakengard 3. Now that you're saying this, I'm getting the vibe that I'm going to leave very sad, and Hunter x Hunter already also betrayed me this week, so I just need good wholesome vibes in my life.
I think you need to immediately find a Switch and get Animal Crossing.
I think that's actually the vibes that I need right now.
Charmed podcast time.
Maybe I'll just start watching. Yeah, maybe I'll just start watching Charmed. I put down the anime so I could go watch Charmed like a normal human, so I could start the healing. Yeah, and we are coming up on about an hour here too. So, and that's
here we are talking about Charmed.
Oh. We have to save it for the Charmed podcast.
How many times are we going to end on Charmed?
Literally, when are we ever not charmed by Charmed? Well, I'm good. Y'all have any last minute thoughts, quibbles, before we do our little sign out here?
Fuck Alyssa Milano.
Yo.
What did Alyssa Milano do?
She endorsed Joe Biden.
Fuck.
Oh, right.
Everybody out here endorsing Joe Biden, man.
Fuck.
It's fucking worst.
This podcast will not endorse Joe Biden.
It's absolutely not. I will not endorse a major actor in authorizing the Iraq War. Absolutely not.
Also rapist.
Also rapist.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Take my student loans, Joe Biden.
All right, so plugging pluggables, you can find me at fog_e. You can find us at yase.world, buy our stuff, and you can now find this podcast on our RSS feed, which is up on Podbean. If you found this, podcast, you know probably where it is. Anybody else
And
want
if
to
you
go?
didn't find it there, you should go to twitter.com/YASEworld, and it is the pinned tweet.
Hell yeah! All right, where can y'all be found out here on the internet?
You can find me at @JarvDog on Twitter.
You can find me at _Velius on Twitter and also fistsofjustice.com.
Oh. My Twitter is snooze2718, and I just bought Grand Blue, so I guess I'll be playing that.
Yo.
Yo.
Yo. We about to play.
Side note, I posted this on Twitter, but I wish that the entire Japanese game development community would hire a single UI UX designer.
That would be sick, actually.
It's always a major gamble on PC.
And when I say a single one, I mean I wish they would hire at least one.
All right, I think that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week with more adventures from the age of social distancing. And keep it wavy, y'all. We're all out here. Take care of each other. Wash your damn hands.
Wash them and stay wavy 6 feet apart.